Welcome to the Outrage Science Bites podcast, a companion podcast to the Outrage Overload podcast. This is day 19 of the NaPodPoMo challenge. That's a National Podcast Post Month. That's a 30-day challenge to post an episode every single day in the month of November. So this Science Bites, Outrage Science Bites episode topic comes from a listener. It's a suggestion from Doug, listener Doug. And we're going to talk about, again, conspiracy theories. We talked about conspiracy theories, some research on day 14. And that research was from a paper by Bensley, Lilienfeld et al. And that paper was called The General Belief in Unsubstantiated Claims, which talked about how if you believe in one conspiracy theory, you're likely to believe in others. And as well as if you believe in conspiracy theories, you're more likely to believe other unsubstantiated claims. And so the research we're going to talk about today is also about conspiracy theories, and it's some research about contradictory conspiracy theories. And this is actually goes back a little ways. So it's a paper published in 2012 by Wood, Douglas, Sutton in the journal Social Psychology and Personality Science. And we're going to look at that paper as well as some subsequent work since that time in this area. So that paper from 2012 explores this phenomenon where people believe in contradictory, sort of inconsistent conspiracy theories, or sort of a paradoxical thing, right? So they believe in contradictory conspiracy theories about the same event. They conducted 2 studies back then, and so now these might sound a little dated now, and they were about various conspiracy theories of that time, about the deaths of Princess Diana and Osama bin Laden. And they found that there was a positive correlation between belief in contradictory conspiracy theories. So what that means is the more people believed that Diana faked her own death, the more people also believed that she was murdered. Similarly, with regard to Osama bin Laden, the more people believed that bin Laden was already dead when U.S. Special Forces raided his compound in Pakistan, the more they also believed that he's still alive. Now, there's a more recent sort of version of this regarding sort of QAnon-related conspiracies, that stuff like Joe Biden is not really there, not really alive, and he's been replaced by a clone, and Trump is really in charge, but somehow Biden is also to blame for all the problems. So you can sort of believe, they sort of simultaneously can believe these inconsistent, contradictory conspiracy theories. So there are similar types of situations now. But they found that this phenomenon of believing inconsistent or contradictory conspiracy theories, they decided it was driven by sort of a mistrust of authority figures in general, and a belief that there is always more of the story than what we're told. And we'll follow up with some more research, kind of followed up with that and found some similar kinds of things. So this distrust in authority figures can lead people to seek out these alternative explanations, even if those explanations are contradictory. In other words, they're inconsistent. They can't both be true, but yet they can come to this conclusion that they both are true. And this is actually a fairly common phenomenon that the paper concludes. And it's likely driven by a number of psychological factors. Even though more research is needed to understand this fully, there has been some subsequent research, and even though more research is still needed ongoing. This phenomenon of believing in contradictory conspiracy theories is likely driven by a number of psychological factors, and some of those factors kind of are some of the other outrage science bites things we've talked about, but a few of the biggies are a general distrust of authority figures. So people who believe in conspiracy theories are often the types of people that distrust authority figures, especially government officials, the media, and scientists. And that distrust can lead them to seek out these alternative explanations for events, even if those explanations are contradictory. A belief that there is always more to the story than what we are told. People who believe in conspiracy theories often believe that there is always more to the story than what we are being told, and that the media and other official sources are hiding things. And this belief can lead them to accept contradictory explanations for events, as they may believe both explanations could be true. There's a personality trait, a need for closure, so a need for cognitive closure. People that have this trait feel like they need to understand the world around them, and this need can lead them to seek out explanations for events, even if those explanations are not well supported by evidence. Conspiracy theories can provide a sense of closure as they offer a simple explanation for a complex event. So we don't really like this complexity. A conspiracy theory might give us what sounds like an easier answer, since we can't believe the simple truth that it's complex. There's also the desire to feel like they know something others don't. So people who believe in conspiracy theories often feel like they know something others don't, so this can make them feel superior to others. It can also give them a sense of community with other people who believe in the same conspiracy theory. And then another one is this tendency to see patterns where there are none. So people who believe in conspiracy theories often see patterns in events that are not actually there. This can lead them to connect unrelated events and draw conclusions that are not supported by the evidence. And these are just some of the psychological factors. And overall, it seems like this ability or this desire or to simultaneously believe two conspiracy theories that are inconsistent, they're contradictory, has more to do with both those conspiracy theories support some deeper, more lower level, more base desire, so they can resolve that both these conspiracy theories could be true, since they both support some deeper need, even though the conspiracy theories themselves are contradictory. And we're going to have an episode about this on the Outrage Overload podcast, the long-form Outrage Overload podcast, where we're going to interview Danigal G. Young, and she has a new book entitled Wrong, and she has an idea of these 3 C's. So she I think this ties very well into this idea of believing contradictory conspiracy theories simultaneously. And the 3 C's are comprehension, so that's like a need to understand what's going on, and control, so that's sort of comes back to some of these other traits we just talked about, or factors that we just talked about. But this control idea that I need to have some control over my world. I'm feeling out of control. And the third one is community, and this can play a factor in that idea that we talked about, where it actually crosses over many of the factors we just played, but one of the big ones is sort of feeling like you know something others don't. That can kind of put you in a special club, make you feel special, and this kind of belief there's always more to the story has kind of got some of that as well. So that's these 3 C's are comprehension, I need to understand it; control, I need to feel like I have some sense of control in my life; and community. And that gets also back to one of the other science bites we recently talked about, where the fear of social death is greater than the fear of physical death. And all those things can be big drivers towards coming to these very inconsistent conclusions that don't really resolve. Like, these two things can't be true, they can't both be true, yet we accept that we believe in both of them. So this 2012 study, there's been some follow-up studies that are similar. There's a 2015 study by Van Prugijn, Douglas, and Guerrero. I may not be pronouncing those names right. And this was it's part again of this comprehension idea. So that research showed that people that can believe in these contradictory conspiracy theories are more likely to be motivated by a need to make sense of the world. So that's that control aspect and that comprehension aspect. And this research suggests that people who are more prone to anxiety and uncertainty may be more likely to believe in conspiracy theories as a way of coping with these negative emotions. In 2016, Jolly, Douglas, and Sutton found that people who believe in contradictory conspiracy theories are more likely to be motivated by a need to feel unique and special. So we also talked about that. And that's part of that community side of those 3 C's, right? So I might be part of this special group that can understand things that other people can't. And this research suggests that people who have low self-esteem or who feel like they are not fitting in may be more likely to be more likely to believe in these conspiracy theories as a way of boosting their self-worth and kind of finding a community. And then a 2017 study by Swami Shangnon and Voracek, again, might not be pronouncing all those names right, found that people who believe in contradictory conspiracy theories are more likely to be motivated by a need to feel like they have control over their lives. So that's coming back to another one of those C's, the control. This research suggests that people who feel like they are powerless or that they have no control over the events in their lives may be more likely to believe in conspiracy theories as a way of regaining a sense of control. And there are other research as well that is sort of related to this, where we sort of look at some of the implications of it. I maybe won't go into all those, but some of the same researchers and others have looked at some of those ways that believing in these conspiracy theories create all kinds of problems like distrust in media and other sources. They're more likely to engage in negative political behaviors, such as protesting against government, spreading misinformation, and these all can have a negative impact on democracy and contribute to our problem, our big challenge in society of political polarization. And some of this research has even shown that people that believe in these conspiracy theories are more likely to support violence and other forms of extremism. And that suggests, again, that conspiracy theories can have a dangerous and even deadly impact on society. So again, you might want to check out, or when this comes out later in the month, it'll be, I think it's the 28th, but it's the last Wednesday of November. There will be an episode with Danica G. Young, and we'll talk about those 3 C's in some other contexts. And so it would be great if you would be interested. You might want to check out that episode. That's on the Outrage Overload podcast, which you can find at outrageoverload.net. So I guess I'll just summarize this idea that it's possible to believe in 2 contradictory or multiple contradictory conspiracy theories. And we talked about some of those reasons why and how this is potentially a big problem for society. And it's a complex and growing field with more research to be done. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it interesting. If so, please subscribe and check it out. And you can learn more about this podcast as well as the long-form Outrage Overload podcast at outrageoverload.net. You can also contact me directly at outrageoverload@gmail.com. Look forward to your ideas or questions or anything you want me to take a look at on these remaining Science Bites podcast episodes for November. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow.